you'll lower your heads for me, please. Dear Lord, please lift up this group of servants and let us take action today in a way that glorifies and honors you and does justice for all of the things that you've done for us and our families and for our community, Lord. Please remind us always that you come first in everything that we do and everything that we say and all of our thoughts and actions. And please remind us that true service begins from a place of remembering how Jesus served us first. We pray this all in your name, my Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Please salute and begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Let's turn our books to page 58, song number 41. Thank you, Don. Where's the? I've been working on the railroad. Here we go. Y'all there? Song 41. I've been working on the railroad all the live long day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Don't you hear the whistle blowing? Rise up so early in the morn. Don't you hear the captain shouting? Dinah, blow your horn. Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah, strumming on the old banjo, singing fee-fi, Billy-I-O, fee-fi, Billy-I-O, fee-fi, Billy-I-O, strumming on the old banjo. Yeah!
I think that may be the best participation we've had ever. Okay, it looks like I have some visitors today. Roxanne, would you please stand and tell us who your visitors are?
I've got Kendall Carnot. She's Scott Carnot's wife, and Scott is going to be joining. He just couldn't be here today. We've got his membership filled out. And Kylan Smith. She's our friend from down at Lake Tawakoni.
Welcome.
Happy bucks.
Well, we got one more.
Okay, I'm sorry. John.
John has a visitor today. He's also got a really cool tie on.
Yeah.
This is Michael Cade. He's a new graduate from Ouachita Baptist in Arkadelphia, and he is a former RILA student, so he came to our office to shadow us today to see if he likes optometry and what the best profession in the world really is.
Very good.
Is that it on guest? Yes. Oh, yes, he does have a guest.
Oh, well, I've got a guest sitting next to me. It's Chance Donaghy, who we're going to hear more. Pardon?
Good job with the name.
I got the pronunciation right. Anyway, Chance, we're going to hear more about Chance in just a minute. Anyway, he's my guest. I had to pay for his lunch.
And we do have a media guest because Brad's here today.
Hey, Brad. Good to see you there. All right.
Okay, let's do some happy bugs.
Okay, I'm going to start on this side of the room today. Anybody? Here we go. Jessica.
All right, guys, it's that time again. We've got Chili Fest coming up, and we need volunteers. So I'm going to start the packet. Everything for every day, including dessert sign-up, is in this packet. please flip through, look at what you're signing up for, take a picture of it on your cell phone. Once you sign up for it, I will send a reminder, but just keep your reminder in your calendar. But this will get passed around each week, but we need to fill it up as quickly as we can so we make sure we're not struggling at the last minute to try to find volunteers. I cannot stay for the entire meeting, so Clint will pick this up at the end of the meeting, but try to make sure it gets around to every table. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Clint. Everybody all set over here? Good morning, Kelly. Everybody? Everybody here? Okay, guys. Looking good. Here's Roz over here. Oh, she got something.
Mine is really an unhappy buck. Tara was practicing on Wednesday, and during practice, her cleats caught in the turf. She has a fracture in her foot. She's out for 4 to 6 weeks. So I just pray for her, and we're going to go at it again, and I will keep my mouth shut until she's participated.
Okay, I'm moving towards the middle. Oh, wait a minute. Here's...
I've got a 5 I'm putting in because I am so happy to report that our trip was amazing, and I am beyond thankful that I flew in this time because the relationships that I developed with the Rotary Club of Cozumel, the members there, was beyond comparison, and so I'm very happy about that.
She'll be like our money. Why not?
Okay.
We are amazing to like our money.
Y'all know why I'm putting in my money. It's almost obligated because I am running the chili auction. We are getting down to the last month already. So, as you see, people are already turning stuff in. Yay for those people who are on top of things. But I still have packs of names like Byron Chitwood can't be with us anymore, and so we still had his name on these. So his whole stack, he gets people that have those every year. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Well, all right. Thank you for volunteering. And Michelle Carter. I'm not picking anybody out, but they're not here, and I can't get them to them, and I'm not going to get them to them. So if somebody wants to come look through these, please take these sheets, mark their name out. Put your name on it as a worker, and all you have to do is contact them. People may not realize a phone call is good, but in person is even better. It's really hard for people to tell you no in person, and if they do, just say, okay, thank you, and go to the next person. It's not a competition, and you're not selling anything. You're literally asking for a donation, and we make a lot of money on the auction, so y'all just keep hustling. If you got any questions, let me know.
Okay, working over here. Okay.
As a lot of you probably know, Gloria had a gallstone attack. We were on our cruise, so we went straight from arriving in Greenville, went to the hospital. Kudos to the hospital down here. They're really wonderful and took great care of us, and I believe she's in surgery right now. So if my phone rings and I jump up and leave, it's because the bars are open. I mean, book.
I guess you want money. Okay, I only have 3. One, some of you may know if you saw my Facebook post, I was initiated into the Order of Eastern Star the other week. We do have a Chilean silent auction coming up this Saturday, and the proceeds from that will benefit, go towards scholarships for Greenville students, not necessarily the ISD, but any school, any students in Greenville and around. And the second one is, don't forget the Lonnie J's Disco benefiting Hunt County Kids. Tickets are for sale on that at Greenville Floral, and that's on February the 22nd. And then the final thing is, because I have to, because it's Keep Greenville Beautiful, and we've got our Home and Garden show on March the 28th, and I'll keep reminding you all of that one. Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else happy to be here? Anybody at all?
There's just $1. That's all I need.
Okay, John, thank you.
All right, Deck of Destiny.
Deck of Destiny, we're gonna go. We got a lot of tickets in here today. We're gonna ask one of our guests, this young man right here, to pick out the winning ticket.
Pick out my ticket.
Debbie Sickles.
All right, read it out loud.
8, 5, 9, 5, 4, 8.
What's the last 3 digits? 548. 548?
Draw again.
Somebody got it. 548.
It's a young guy reading.
You got 548? I knew she had it. Okay. She had a lot to look at.
Oh, hi.
She lives in the house.
Okay, we're looking for the ace of spades.
Ace of spades.
Microphone.
Oh.
King of
That's good.
She says she's looking for the king of hearts.
So hand it to her. She got it.
Okay, back to you, Katie.
All right. At this time, I am going to invite David Wineland up. He would like to do a presentation.
We want to honor one of our guests today. Mr. Donahue, would you come up here, please?
Donahue.
As the G.
I think I've just ruined our title sponsor here. Mr. Chance Donahue.
Don't worry, the president knows.
I am so sorry. My apologies. I've got a name that gets mispronounced also. I've grown insensitive to it. I hope you have too. This gentleman owns the Donahue Buick GMC dealership in town, and what he's done is so significant and important to the Greenville, the Rotary Club of Greenville. For the past 3 years, he's been the title sponsor of the Cotton Patch Challenge. And get this, he's agreed to do it again. So he's going to be the title sponsor for the Cotton Patch Challenge 2020. And in addition to the money that he donates toward being a sponsorship, most of you know this, but he also furnishes 8 brand new trucks, each Cotton Patch Challenge for the SAG members to drive the truck. So far, we haven't scratched or wrecked them.
And these are amazing
We're
trucks.
certainly going to try to maintain our perfect record. There's probably more than 100 T-shirts in Cozumel after last Saturday with Don G. Buick GMC on the back of it in Cozumel. You may sell a car in Cozumel because of the advertising that we're promoting for your dealership.
Call him Mr. D.
We took them down there and gave them to quite a few people. We had a few left over, and that's what we took down there. But I want to read this to you. Presented to Donna G. Buick GMC by Rotary Club of Greenville in expression of our profound thanks for your continuing partnership as the title sponsor for the Cotton Patch Challenge. This event provides monetary support for the youth of Hunt County and the area of scholarships. Without you, we could not fulfill our mission of service above self to our community's youth. Thanks for all you do, sir. We got to post this.
What are the requirements? All right.
I thought Katie was leaving. She was turning.
All right.
Let
me see that.
Donna Gee.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Wineland, would you please present our program today?
Yes, and our program, his last name only has one syllable, so I can do it fine. Mike, would you come on up here while I tell a little bit about you? My friend and brother in Christ, Michael Tull. We happen to go to the same church together, and we both are Bible teachers. And I get to visit with Michael on a lot of fronts. He's a graduate of Greenville High School. Also, his wife Christina is with us, and she is also a graduate of Greenville High School. Mike's going to be talking to you this morning about human trafficking and the importance of self-defense. He's very knowledgeable in the area of self-defense. He is a second-degree black belt of American Kabutaroo, and in 2016 he was inducted into the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. And in 2017, he was a male black belt of the U.S. Martial Arts. And he is also a level 2 agent in the National Security Alliance with a focus on women's and children's safety. Michael puts on conferences in teaching women and children how to defend themselves, and he does this all around the area. And should you have any group or church that you would like for him to do this for, just please let Michael know. Michael, take the microphone and give us your program, sir.
Thank you.
You know, Michael, let's thank David Wetland.
I like it.
Okay, if I can get this pulled back up. First of all, let me thank you for having me here. Mr. Whalen, thank you for inviting me, and of course it is great to have him part of our church and part of my church family. He's so enjoyable to run into every day and at church and to talk to. We have a lot in common with grandkids. We like to talk about our grandkids and our kids and the events and activities they're in, which actually this program that I'm going to present to you today has a lot to do with our kids, our grandkids, women, even young men that are being taken into this. Let me try to get this pulled back up. And
It's on. It's on now. It's on.
Bob's not going to see it flashing.
It is.
It's coming up.
Flashing green.
Just wait till it gets there, Mike.
Okay.
There you go. Time drive is coming back on. There it is. You'll find it in a minute.
With this, I'll go over a little bit. I've been in martial arts since I was 9 years old. My real dad was a very violent alcoholic. My mom and him were divorced when I was 9 years old, so she was looking for something to take a young boy with a lot of energy and to get him focused. And so she started me off in judo, when I was 9 years old. I've been doing this. I'll be 55 in May. I've been trained in judo, aikido, karate, American kabuto-ryu, shorin-ryu, and kali. And it was a great honor in 2016 when they inducted me into the United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and in 2017 when I was USA Male Black Belt of the Year. But it was a lot of what we focus on, women and children's safety, is why those awards were given. It's amazing in the martial arts community, the number of people that are out there, and one thing that just about every one of them focus on is the importance of safety for our families and the right to protect yourself. As we go through this program, and I'm talking about human trafficking, there's some things. I started teaching this program about human trafficking about 6 years ago. And when I first started teaching this program, it was estimated that human trafficking worldwide was estimated to be a $44 billion a year industry. Last year, it was estimated to be a $158 billion a year industry. In 2016, it made more money than Google and Nike combined. And by 2017, it was estimated you could add Starbucks to that list.
Wow.
So drug cartels are finding out they can make more money in human trafficking than they could with just the drugs, and so they have dove into human trafficking head first. One thing I do want to applaud is our lawmakers. Here in the past couple of years, they have really paid a lot of attention to this, and they have added a lot of stricter crimes, stricter punishments, more resources for our law enforcement agencies to tackle this problem. And so it is something that they're starting to really get a handle on.
The signal is
There, yeah. Hey, David, unplug the connection and plug it back in.
With this program, one of the things that we do down in the Quinlan district is we teach our students down there to have an abundance of self-confidence. In education, it's been proven that if you can build a child's self-confidence, then they can excel in all areas, academics, family, friendships, and everything. So we have a pre-K through 12th grade program that develops on character that focuses on building self-confidence, believing in yourself. And you think, well, what does that have to do with defending myself in human trafficking? As we'll talk about a little bit when we get into self-defense, that confidence, the way you present yourself, the way you walk, the way you carry yourself, has a lot to do with people that have chosen to be attacked. And so we start with our second graders, and go through 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th graders, and we teach them tactics that child predators use. We teach them tactics that are used in abductions. We teach them ways to handle if they're ever attacked or something like that, and scream. You think, well, you know, a kid just screams when they're attacked. No, we teach kids to scream with a purpose, because if you see a student screaming and someone's grabbed them out in public or trying to get them to a car or a van, you think, well, that kid needs to be disciplined. He's just, you know, unruly. But if they scream with a purpose, no, this is not my mom, this is not my dad, I need help, I need the police. And we try to teach them to have that calmness and self-awareness to do that. And then we start in middle school. We teach our children, of course, we have a comprehensive drug education program which teaches them not to get under the influence of these things, because so many times students that are under the influence in high school, middle school, and college fall into traps and things like that can end up in the human trafficking or abuse or something like that. And then we get into our high school. All of our graduating senior girls are taught self-defense. We have a 3-hour course that we started teaching about 6 years ago. It's an hour in the classroom, 2 hours of hands-on training. And then now our Quinlan has a fully certified police force working for our school district. Now they have taken up, they teach a full-blown 8-hour RAD training to our graduating senior girls. And it is a very intense program. We teach this 3-hour women's self-defense course for our community, 2 or 3 times a year. In fact, I brought flyers for our next one. It's February 29th. It's on a Saturday. The first hour in the classroom, we teach things like levels of awareness, stages of violent crime, things that you can do to keep from being actually victimized a second time as a lady by, if you do something that we teach you, you hurt your attacker, then they drag you into court and try to accuse you of attacking them. We talk about things like, imminent danger, imminent bodily harm, and things that they need to know, and also the level that they can go to when they have to stop defending themselves, when it no longer becomes self-defense. And then we go into that classroom, we do 2 hours of hands-on training with some skills and things like that. And we've been doing that for our community and a couple of organizations around the area. Talking about human trafficking, every 30 seconds, another person becomes a victim of human trafficking across the world. One thing that is fantastic is there have been more organizations lately, especially within the past 3 years, that have been designed just to help target, bring recognition to the dangers of human trafficking and what's involved in it. The End It movement is one of the ones, and we'll watch a quick video from them later on. Basically, what is human trafficking? It's the use of force, fraud, coercion to obtain some type of, in most cases, sex act. Sometimes it's work, sometimes it's labor, and there's a very small percentage that are students, or mainly children, that are taken in the military service in some of the third world nations. Bluntly putting, human trafficking is slavery. It's the illegal trade of human beings, recruitment, control, transportation, use of people for their bodies, for their labor, through force, through coercion. People across this world are being taken, and the one thing I was telling a close friend of mine about these classes I teach about a year ago, and he said, Tull, why do we not hear about this on the news more? He goes, if it's as bad as you tell me it is, then why do we not hear it? It's almost like a silent crime. Now, more and more we are seeing in the media where they're paying more attention to it. There are more arrests being made. Just in this Dallas area, there are more human trafficking groups that have been broken up, arrested, and taken into court and put in jail. Terms like slavery and trafficking sometimes can be ambiguous. Bluntly putting, this is the reality. It's slavery, it's violence, it's the physical and verbal and sexual abuse, it's forced prostitution. And this starts as early as 7, 8 years old. The average age of someone that's taken into human trafficking is 12 to 23. Some local incidents between August 2016 and March of 2018. These are incidents in what I consider the local area that I believe, after hearing about them, could directly be linked to human trafficking. I won't go through all of them. One, I've got up at Roy City Walmart parking lot. This happened twice, a year apart from each other. A man-woman team tried to trick a young girl into getting in the car with him. When she wouldn't stand and get cornered and boxed in, the man physically tried to grab her by force. It was people that were walking through the parking lot. Both occasions, someone walking the parking lot, seeing what was going on, raised up the stir. The people let her go and left. About 2 years ago in Target and Rockwall, there was a lady that was in her car with her children just fixing to get in the car. A white van pulled up the car, blocked them in, and physically tried to grab the daughters right there in front of the mother. And again, people that were around watching or help break it up. You can go through there, and there's one we'll talk about a little more that happened here in Greenville a while back. Let's see if I can open this real quick. Me and technology aren't the best friends at all. One thing is, if this does pull up, you'll see these are some individuals of human trafficking ring that was broken up about a year ago or 2 years ago. But if you'll look at the pictures here, most of them are women. You see the men in that, but the way that human trafficking, it isn't always just guys jumping out of a van grabbing someone. There are so many tactics that they're using. They will use children, like at Dollar General, to walk into an aisle and have a child see another child with his family playing in the aisle, trick that child into coming over in the aisle next to them. They will grab them and walk out the door with them or lead them out the door with them. When I teach another class called Tactics of Child Predators that I teach for our community down there. And the first year I taught that, there was a lady had 3 of her children there. And I went and talked to her before the class, and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, would you mind walking out of the room with my wife and let me try to trick your children into walking out of the building with me?" And she said, "You can't do that. They've been in Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts. They know what not to do." 43 seconds, they all 3 walked out the door with me.
Oh my God.
The thing is, child predators, especially against children, they know children are raised to be respectful, responsible, to care about others, and they prey on that. They use that against them, and that's some of the tactics they'll use. If you look at this is one that was, like I said, broken up over, and I believe this was Frisco. And then those are just some of the ones in the area. They broke up one in a major town outside of Dallas that involved business leaders, 911 operators, community leaders. There's so much money being found in the human trafficking trade that it's attracting all kinds of people. The cartels, like I said, they have found out they can make more money in the human trafficking trade. Some statistics about it, I won't go over all these, but about 80% of trafficking involves sexual exploitation, 19% is labor exploitation, the other 1% relates to military use, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. There are approximately 20 million slaves in the world today, 1.5 million of them are in the United States. They're everywhere, you just don't see them. And one of the things we do when I go in and talk to our first responders class down at Quinlan is there's things that you can look for, and we'll talk about a few of those later, that these people that are on the front lines that are first responders, that you can look for traits in people that they have, and we're trying to teach them to recognize that. According to the U.S. State Department, 600 to 800,000 people are trafficked across international borders every year. 80% of those are female, half of them are children. Some more, the average age is 12 to 14 years old. California has 3 of the FBI's highest sex trafficking areas, with Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego. The National Human Trafficking Hotline receives more calls from Texas than any other state in the United States, with 15% of those calls being right in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Between 14,500 17,500 are trafficking into the United States every year from foreign countries, Eastern Europe, Asia, and Western Africa. Third largest international crime behind illegal drugs and arms trading. It was the fastest growing crime behind identity theft last year. Some of the ways they get these girls, mainly I say girls a lot because 80% of them are female that are in the human trafficking, that have been abducted. They threaten them. Once they have them under control, they will do everything they can to keep them under control. They threaten their families. They'll take pictures of their family. If you leave this or you try to get back home or you tell, then we are going to go kill your family. They've even forced pregnancy on some of them. When they have their children, they threaten them with their children. Sometimes they will get them addicted to drugs to where they have to have that, and they have their thumb on them. There are ways that, organizations like QT, for example, has a safe room in all the QTs where a girl that is a victim of human trafficking, if they're there because they do target truck stops and things like that a lot, they can go into this safe room and they're there until the policeman comes and helps them and gets them back home.
Some more facts. I mentioned this already. It's $158 billion a year industry. Mexico City is an international hub. So if you take a straight shot to Mexico City and they can get them out to all parts of the world, rural areas are becoming breeding grounds. We'll talk about that a little more. Truck stops are common. Big sporting events, Super Bowl coming up. Big political rallies. Huge area of trafficking for human trafficking. According to the Washington Times, the Taliban will buy a child as young as 7 for a suicide bomber. An average cost of a 7-year-old is between $7,000 and $14,000 US to train them and use them as a suicide bomber. And now I already told you that statistics about Nike, Starbucks, and Google. The girls that are victims of this so many times are afraid to speak out, afraid to say anything for fear of their life, fear of what's going to do to their family. This is a post from a young girl in Greenville, and it says, "An eventful night for me. A man snatched my arm, would not let me go. This man kept trying to get me in his car, offered me $20,000 to go with him. Then he said $25,000 after I said no. If I had not lied to this man about my phone ringing, I would not have had the chance to call my friends to help me. Not only did she rush to me, she rolled in 6 cars deep with some of the best people I know. This man released me and drove off to the QT Greenville, where I mad followed him, flagged down an officer who then arrested him, towed his car, and helped me file charges. The man was trying to kidnap me. Tonight, I am thankful to my friends and the Greenville Police Department because I could have been taken, raped, killed, or sold into sex trafficking. Be safe, everyone. Protect yourself." A lot of times when I talk about this, especially in a town like Quinlan that's small, they think, well, you know, that's a small town. That's not going to hurt us. We're not Dallas. We're not Houston. We're not Los Angeles. Human traffickers target areas like small communities. You think, well, why would you target a rural area? Access to major highways. For example, I-20, I-30, 69, 34, they run directly into roads that take you straight south. Access to an international hub, DFW, is 45 minutes away. Little or no FBI agents in the town. Small law enforcement numbers, working, commuting families that may not be home in time when the kids are out in the yard. The lag in response time when reporting. Sound like someone you might know? Cattle Mills, Quinlan, Lono, Cumbie, Campbell, Celeste. I watch this. This is from the End It movement. This is a video made to bring awareness to this idea of human trafficking. That was done by the End It movement to bring more awareness to human trafficking. What they did, they went to a Final Four event. These were girls that were, doing a dramatization of what goes on in human trafficking. They were driven around to bring awareness to this topic because it used to be almost completely hidden, not talked about very much. One of the saddest things in my research on this that I've ever heard, and this is disturbing, but a lady that used to be in human trafficking as someone bringing them in Eastern Europe was actually caught. During her question and everything, one of the things she talked about is when girls were brought to her, she had a professional rapist that would rape these girls until their spirit was broken. Because a girl whose spirit is broken, they can turn around and use her over and over, and if she is not physically damaged, they can sell her for more money than they got when they first bought her because her spirit is already broken. So this is a horrible, evil crime that is happening right here in the United States. It's and there are groups, like I said, fighting to change that. Certain types of human trafficking. I won't go over all of these. Forced labor, bonded labor, involuntary servitude, child soldiers, sex trafficking, which is predominantly the major part of it, along with labor. Some of the ways that they were tricked into getting into this human trafficking. False job advertisements. These are ones that have been, these are people that have been recovered from, sex trafficking rings, which is actually a very small percentage of the ones that are actually kidnapped or taken into this. 44% of those said that they followed a false job advertisement and went to somewhere where they were taken. Some of them were actually sold by family members. The lover boy, this is a new one that's been on the rise more, where they have someone, a boy who's 22, 23, very handsome, very charming, very well spoken. He'll meet these high school girls and woo them. Act like he's their boyfriend, 2-3 weeks, maybe a couple months. Get them, all right, let's go on a short trip. Takes them on a trip and they never come home again. There's other ways. Blatant abduction is only 5%. Trafficking by a friend. False immigration, which a lot of times in false immigration, they're given a loan to go to mainly America, and it's at a loan at a rate to where they can never pay it back. And so they're basically in servitude. And there's other unknown methods. Some of the things that nurses, people that are first responders need to know or look for. If the person looks like they're being controlled by another, they can't speak for themselves, it's always someone with them. Like if they're injured or something, they do have to take them to the hospital or a doctor. Someone will usually go with them to make sure that they do not speak out or cry out or anything like that. Their movements are controlled, their finances are controlled, they may not have any documents like birth certificates, driver's license, IDs, or anything like that to identify them. Sometimes they're forcefully brought in, forcibly taken out. Bad health, bad nutrition, any type of lack of, like I said, the identification. There's signs of physical abuse. Now, one thing that the traffickers usually do not do is abuse them in places that can be seen, because they want to still be able to market these girls that they've taken, in many cases boys. Also, maybe signs of substance abuse. It can be substance abuse that has been forced on them, or substance abuse that they've taken up to deal with the depression that they're going through from being in this situation. And then a lack of trust of people that are trying to help them. Because a lot of times that they were drawn into this, they were drawn into it by someone that they trusted, and they're not there to help them. Lack of personal belongings, signs of dependence on the ones that are actually have been their abductors. and also a feeling of just being trapped in a situation that they have no way of getting out of. A lot of times they're taken into other countries, isolated, they're young, they don't know how to get around these other countries, and so they feel helpless. And the traffickers prey on this. They use them to get them in that situation to make them think, then you depend on me for everything you have, and I will use you however I have to. Some of the things you can do, educate yourself. Go online, learn more about this, learn what you can do, learn how you can put things like this in your Facebook, be aware of it. Sign up for emails from these organizations like Polaris or End It. Get involved in organizations that work to stop human trafficking. Get involved locally. Spread the truth about modern day slavery, because that's what this is. Buy goods that are made by fair labor standards. Support strict anti-trafficking laws, which I am so proud of our legislatures lately for taking this seriously and making these laws strict. I won't tell you what I think ought to happen to them, but keep an eye out for suspicious signs. Teach your children, teach your families about this, make them aware. When I was little, I lived in the same house I've lived in pretty much my whole life. And my best friend lived a half mile down the road through the woods. And it was a long distance phone call back then, when phones were stuck to the wall with a wire. So it was long distance, and my parents said, you're not going to have a long distance call. So I'd walk down the road. Well, that was great until it got dark and I had to come back to the woods with the coyotes and the rats running through the day. Every little noise you heard, that was my biggest fear. Nowadays, I wouldn't dare let my kids walk that half mile down the road by themselves because of what this is turning into. And if you see something, report it. Do not remain silent about this. Do not think you're going to offend someone. If you find out you're wrong, and someone may get mad at you because you made a mistake reporting something that looks suspicious and it wasn't. But if they understand you were doing it to help their child, they should understand that you were doing it with the right means. And then learn to protect yourself and your family. We teach these women's self-defense classes to our children down there in Quinlan and the graduating girls in our community. The reason we first started those classes in Quinlan several years ago, there was a lady down there in Quinlan in her business that was attacked and raped by someone, and there was a friend of hers asked if we put together a self-defense class. And myself and there's 4 other instructors down there. We have a martial arts program through our school down there. Has about 120 students. Myself and Mr. Suber, he's another black belt. He's actually the chief instructor. He's a 5th degree black belt. He and I got to talking one day, and we made this proposal. We thought our school board's never going to buy it. Well, they loved it. They've thrown a lot of support behind it. And since then, we've run about 120 kids through there now. They get to take it for free. We've actually had 6 students now made their black belt through there because they've been doing it all 6 years. They went through the test and everything. 2 of them had to come back after they graduated and did it. But through those programs, we teach them about self-confidence, how to defend yourself, how to look out for others. And you do have the right to protect yourself. And that's one of the things we teach in these women's self-defense classes. Why self-defense? I want to warn you, before I show these first 2 videos, they're pretty violent. Now we show these, like I said, the self-defense class, the first part of it's an hour long, and one of the things we have to overcome, I had 2 daughters, when they were growing up, the oldest one, 4'11", and she was mean as a rattlesnake. I didn't have to worry if she was fixing to be attacked, she was going to defend herself. Then my youngest daughter, I don't know if I could hurt anyone, Dad. I really don't know. I care. If they're attacking you, so I don't know. Of course, she went to the military for 7 years, and it's not an issue with her anymore either. So, but the thing is, when you're attacked, you have the right to defend yourself. And these attacks aren't someone coming up pushing you, grabbing you. So we show these in the first hour of this class to try to get women in the mindset that if you're attacked, you need to defend yourself. Yes, if you hurt someone, I ask the women, what's most important to you in life? 9 times out of 10, it's my kids and my family. When we ask the girls that are graduating the same question, 9 times out of 10, it's my family or my friends. And we try to get them to understand that this person that is attacking you, they do not care about you. There's going to be no mercy in this attack. They do not care whether your family loses you. You have the right to go home to your family, so you have the right to defend yourself. So we show these to show them what an attack is like, how brutal it can be. We talk a lot about positioning, being aware of your surroundings. He rummages through her belongings. He's attacked her. He very well could have tried to rape or hurt her in any other way. We teach about guarding against that, how to be aware. There's no mercy, no love, no compassion in these type of attacks. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. And so the things that we're going to teach you, you have the right to defend yourself, to protect your family. This next one is also an elevator video, but this lady's had some training. She's a little bit aware of her surroundings. He walks in, she puts her phone up. Predators will do like a shark. They bump to see how far they can go, how far they can go. If she wouldn't have stopped him at that level, And I love hearing stories like that. Here about 6 months ago, there was an attacker that attacked a lady in Brazil, very attractive lady. She just happened to be a 7-time world champion female MMA fighter. And they showed the guy's mugshot, and you couldn't even recognize it. It was worse than Rocky. And I love it. The thing about protecting yourself, Oregon University sociologists find that women who took a 10-week self-defense class were significantly less likely to experience unwanted sexual contact than those who didn't. I've talked a little bit about what we do at QISD with our students. Those are just things we go through with our students to give them a well-rounded education, not just academics. We also have a character program, pre-K through 12. I wrote the lessons for these that they cycle through, every year. Every 3 years they come back to the same lessons, but they build self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth to show these students that what they do is important. They are important. Caring about others is important. And of course, we have our drug awareness classes and things. This is just a chart that shows from a study in college and university the difference in the ones who took a self-defense class and those that didn't. The ones that received sexual contact, sexual aggression, sexual attack, and then rape. And the ones that took a self-defense class, of the pool, there was no one that experienced rape from the ones that had taken the self-defense class. We've talked about that. We've observed the warning signs. Who knows who this is? Ted Bundy. That's another aspect of self-defense. There are those out there that are just crazy, deranged. They don't care how bad they hurt anyone, what they do. They're just pure evil. And you have the right to defend yourself and go home to your family from that. One of the things we leave off before we go into the classroom to teach some of the trainings, and this is a guy thing. This is one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies, The Outlaw Josie Wales. This volume's kind of low on this. What he basically said to him in that scene, he says, when things look bad, it looks like you're not going to make it, you've got to get mean. Just plumb, mad dog mean. And that's one of the things that we try to teach those that come through our classes. If you're attacked, you do what it takes to go home to your family. You have the right to go home to your children, to your grandchildren, to your husband, to your wife, to those that love you. You have the right to do that. So now let us teach you some of the things that you can do to protect yourself to make sure you go home. And one of the things we make sure we teach them in all this, because you start hearing all this and it can sound scary. Almost, I'm afraid to walk down the street. I'm afraid to go to the store. I'm afraid to go to the parking lot. But the thing is, we teach our kids, we teach our families, we teach the women is, you do not live in fear. You do not walk through life in fear. That is not a way to live. We teach you to be alert, to be aware, but not to live in fear. And that's one of the things we try to convey, that, with everything going on in this world, you can still be happy, you can still be a productive citizen, you can still live with confidence. Like I tell my son almost every day before he goes to school, be strong and of good courage. It's one of my favorite verses from the Bible, where we're told that over and over, be strong and good courage. I get asked quite frequently, well, how do you match your Christian beliefs up with this thought of attacking someone? And I tell them there's nowhere in my Bible that has ever told me to be weak. It tells me to be meek, it tells me to be humble, but it will never tell me to be weak.
Put on your armor.
Yeah, put on your armor. How many times does it talk about being a warrior, being in battle? And so I can reconcile that with that. And I appreciate y'all having me here today, and I hope this has been informative for you.
That was amazing, and I know that there are probably a lot of questions in here, and so if you would like to stay afterwards and ask some questions, that's open, correct? Okay. I have three very quick things. The first thing is next week is our visitor day. Remember, everybody, we're asking everybody to please bring a visitor. One of the things that we are going to start concentrating on over the next few months is trying to look around the room, see what classifications that we already have in our members, and ask that you might look and see, is there some other classification that's not represented here in our Rotary Club? And let's try to maybe focus on inviting some of those people. A couple of the ones that was just brought up was a manufacturer, somebody in manufacturing, and somebody in hotel service. So if you know of anybody in those industries, please invite them to come to our meeting next week. Make sure to let's pack the room. Today is amazing and great, and our room is full today, and we want to have that same thing next week. The second thing is, one of the things we're going to be working on is just having an event, a single event where we invite our alumni to come back for just one lunch. So if you could help David Ellis in the back with some alumni names. There's not any single location that we can go to for those individuals. I've already given him some, but if you, especially for our folks that have been in this club for a long time, and help them with some people, some previous members that we could invite to that event. I was just texted a second ago that the sign-up sheet for the Chili Fest did not make it around to all the tables.
I'm going to hang out back here by David for a while. Y'all can come back here and sign up if you're able. I'll make sure it's there as long as we want it.
Perfect. Anything else to bring before Rotary today? Yes, sir.
Not many people here today. They're on the cleanup list, so if you could help clean up, that would help.
Please help bust your tables, and you can tip yourself that way, okay? Thank you, and that's Rotary for today. You should go to the coastal meeting. It was ding, ding, ding.
They make me want to stay in order. No problem.
This video has been brought to you by Juice 34. Juice is your community-owned provider for electric, internet, cable TV, and true local programming.